So we'll begin today seated comfortably on your mat. So however you're comfortable, you can be cross-legged, you can be on your ankles. And whenever you arrive, you can just let your eyes gently close and take a big cleansing breath, inhaling big through the nose, exhaling it through the mouth. You can let your shoulders drop down away from the ears. Let your stomach be soft so that the breath can travel in and out of the stomach. You can let your jaw relax and let your forehead soften. And let's just start to take some neck circles, going gently in one direction to start a few times. These can be big circles or smaller circles. Just doing your best to keep your body still so that your neck is the only thing that's moving, so it gets the most attention. And you can go ahead and switch directions if you haven't. And syncing this up with your breath in some way. So maybe you're inhaling as the head comes back and exhaling as it goes over. Whatever that looks like for you. And then once your ear is coming closer, your right ear is coming to your right shoulder, just leave it there. And take a big exhale here. Just breathe into the left side of the neck. And you can reach the left fingertips down and away from you, feeling this extend down the arm, through the fingers, across the shoulders. And then you can bring your right hand on top of the head, a little closer to the ear, just adding that weight. Letting your breath be steady here and kind of exaggerated so that when you exhale, you can feel the space from your fingertips through the ear getting a little bit longer. Awesome. And then you can gently release your right hand and bring it down by your right hip. And then reach your left arm up and alongside the left ear and let side body stretch. So feeling the space from the rooted down left sit bone through the side body to the ribs, through the armpit. Just feeling, breathing into the left side of the ribs and like the left side of the belly. So feeling the organs getting a lot of space, keeping that length in your spine. And then you can gently start to turn your heart to face toward the ground and bring both hands to the ground, reaching both hands off to the right. And then, so feeling the stretch down the left side of the back. And then just slowly walk your hands over to the center. So you're folding for a moment in the center. And then you can gently walk your hands back toward your seat. You can switch the crossing of your legs or of your ankles. And then let your left ear fall to the left shoulder. And we'll do that on the other side. So breathing into the right side of the neck. Noticing if this side feels a lot different. Reaching the right fingertips down and away. Feeling the stretch extended from the ear through the fingers. And then gently bringing the left hand on top of the head to just add a little bit of weight to the stretch. Feeling the space from the ear all the way through the fingertips. Letting your breath be steady and slow. Each time that you exhale, feeling the space be allowed to just release longer, so you don't have to pull it longer. Just letting the weight stretch you out. And then you can gently release your left hand down by your left hip and reach the right arm up and over to the left. Getting this really nice stretch in the right side body, just being sure to keep your right sit bone grounded. And if you look at your hips, you should see that your shoulders are staying in line with the hips, so that you really feel the spine as straight as possible, and you're just focusing on getting the space between the right hip bone and the bottom of the right ribs to be long, so those organs can breathe. Awesome. And then you can start to slowly turn your heart toward the ground and reach both of your hands to the floor to the left of you, getting a brief stretch down the right side of the back. Breathing here. And then slowly, gently, you can walk your hands to the center to fold for a moment here. And then you can begin to walk your hands back toward your seat. Pause for a moment with the straight spine. Just notice how you're feeling. And then when you're ready, you can come into tabletop position, either rolling over the ankles or kicking the feet back behind you. Just seeing that your wrists are under the shoulders, your knees are under the hips, and your feet are in line with the knees, so hidden behind the thighs. Your wrist creases parallel to the front edge of your mat, and your fingers spread so wide that you can feel the skin in between the fingers stretching slightly. Pressing into the ground with the hands, pressing into the ground with the tops of the feet, just to activate the core for a moment, feeling that really straight table spine, broadening the collarbones. And as you inhale, you can drop the belly down, lift the gaze up, lift the tailbone up to your cow pose. And exhale to pull the heart back, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin to your cat pose. So you can inhale to cow and exhale to cat. You can keep moving through these at your own pace. If you feel like lingering in one of them for longer, if you feel like wiggling or rolling out the spine or doing anything that your body wants to do, just do whatever feels good. Maybe taking circles with the hips to warm up the hips. Just noticing where your body's asking for more attention. Maybe your spine feels extra stiff today. Maybe your shoulders do. Maybe your hips do. So just listening to the body and doing whatever feels right in the moment. And take about 3 more breaths with this free movement. Awesome. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back to your neutral tabletop. And you can lift your left arm out to the side and up so that your heart opens to the left. And then as you exhale, thread the needle, bringing the left arm underneath the right, the left ear and shoulder come to the ground. And yeah, you can do whatever you want with your right hand. You can stay where it is. It can reach forward for some more length. It can reach up. It can reach behind you. And wherever you are, just feel that your right hip crease is pulling back slightly. because the tendency will be that your right hip wants to come forward. And this will just increase the stretch a little bit more. As you inhale, feel your tailbone reaching up a little bit higher. And as you exhale, see if you can twist a little bit more, maybe starting to bring your gaze up toward the ceiling. One more breath like this. And then when you're ready, you can come back, bring your hand back to the ground in front of your face, push into that ground and use your core to unwind all the way back up, reaching up again. And then exhale, release down, tabletop. Okay. So do that on the other side. When you're ready, right arm reaches out and up, lifting out of that left shoulder. And then exhale, thread the needle, other side. So the right ear, right shoulder coming to the ground. And again, feeling that left hip crease pulling back just slightly so that you can deepen the stretch. The top arm is doing whatever feels best. And tailbone, or the space in between the sit bones, is reaching up toward the ceiling. Your spine is nice and long with this nice twist in the upper spine and the shoulders. Your breath can be coming in and out of the stomach. And on your exhales, feeling how that creates just a tiny bit more space to twist. Really subtle. And do one more big breath here. And then when you're ready, you can start to unwind. Bring your left hand back to the ground in front of the face. Push into that hand, bringing your right arm all the way back up. And exhale to your tabletop. Awesome. And from here, let's come into our puppy pose. So you can leave your hips where they are, walk the hands forward, melt the heart down, forehead or the chin coming to the mat or a block. Breathing into the space between the shoulder blades, the back of the heart. And same thing as before, reaching the energy up through the space in between the sit bones. Really focusing on surrendering in the heart center, but staying active in your forearms and your hands. And you're actively drawing your shoulders closer together, your shoulder blades coming kind of down and together, down your back. Two more breaths here. Draw your lower belly up toward the spine, find a little bit more space. Awesome. And then just rooting down even more in the forearms and hands. Start to tuck your tailbone down and pull the navel up to the spine so that you can wave your body forward, coming into our Sphinx Pose. The hips coming to the ground. Your forearms are parallel with each other. And when you look down, you see that your elbows are in line with the shoulders, but from a side view, your elbows are just slightly in front of the shoulders. And try to bring your lower ribs, like the very last ribs, to the floor, because that'll help concentrate the stretch a little more. So you can root down in your pubic bone, root down in the big toes, and feel like you're pulling the floor closer to your feet and your heart through your upper arms. Remembering to breathe. Pressing that pubic bone down, activating the legs. You can feel like they're squeezing toward each other. One more breath. And then as you exhale, you can release your head to the ground. You can make a pillow with your hands. Bend the knees up toward the bum and just take a few windshield wipers to release the hips, to release the back, to massage the stomach. Feeling your body surrender toward the mat. Awesome. And then when you're ready, you can bring the knees back to center and extend the legs. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders and zip up your elbows really tight so they're reaching toward each other and close to the ribs. And let them point up toward the ceiling. And then you can tuck your toes and really pull the navel up to the spine so that you feel a slight lift in the belly. And see if you can push yourself up either through a tabletop or through a high plank. And then lift the hips back and up to your down dog. Awesome. Great job. So first down dog, you can take your time. You can do some movements to get settled. Just remembering all of the same hand cues as our tabletop. So the arms are, or the hands are shoulder width distance. The wrist crease is parallel to the front. Fingers spread really wide. Hands are active. And the feet are hips width distance, or about 2 fists between. And the knees can stay bent if that feels better. And maybe just bending the knees just to encourage the length in the spine. So when you bend the knees, you can reach your heart toward your thighs and then lift yourself up through the space in between the sit bones. And then you can start to straighten out the legs. And wherever you are, you can feel that the weight is evenly distributed between both hands and both feet. You can feel broadness across the collarbones as well as the shoulder blades. And maybe feeling like your armpits could almost face each other, feeling that sensation, that wrapping sensation of the muscles beneath your armpits. Feeling maybe a sensation of a slight arch in your lower back, just to encourage that length. Let's take 2 more big breaths. And then you can bend your knees, look up toward the top of your mat, and start to walk your feet up to meet your hands. You can lengthen the spine as you arrive and inhale to a halfway lift. And then exhale, releasing to forward fold. Bending the knees generously, letting the head dangle, letting the arms dangle. Same thing as always, lifting up through the space between the sit bones, even with the knees staying bent. Feeling where the weight is located on the feet. Letting them be even between the inside and outside of the foot. And letting it be just ever so slightly more on the balls of the feet, so that maybe you could slide a piece of paper beneath the heels, just to encourage yourself to fold forward first and then down. Let's take 5 big breaths here. Each time that you exhale, you can feel your lower belly pulling up toward the spine just a little bit, finding more space to hinge and to fold. Let your jaw relax, let all your face muscles relax so that you feel them kind of just hanging off the bones. Your legs are strong and supporting you. 1 more big breath. And then slowly, when you're ready, you can start to roll yourself up to stand, maybe walking the hands up the legs if that feels good. 1 vertebrae at a time. Head is last to come up. Palms can be by your side, facing out. In your mountain pose. Ooh. So it's feeling your head over heart, over hips, over heels. Rooted down through the feet, lifted up through the crown of the head, feeling how long you are, feeling how much space you take up. As you inhale, you can reach the arms out and up, getting even longer. Side body's getting long. And then exhale, hinge at your hips and lead with your heart, coming down through a flat back to a forward fold. Inhale, long spine, halfway lift, feeling the core active, feeling the collarbones broad, feeling the heart reaching forward, tailbone reaching back. Exhale, release, forward fold. Plant the hands down. Inhale, step back to your plank position. Maybe pausing for a moment here just to activate the core, feeling the collarbones broad, feeling the hips in line with the body. And then option to bring the knees down here and bending the elbows slowly alongside the ribs. You can bring yourself down to the mat. Inhale to your baby cobra, lifting the heart. Exhale to release. As you inhale, you can push yourself back up either through plank or through tabletop, and we'll come into our downward facing dog. Awesome. 3 big breaths, let it go. Maybe sighing it out, maybe sticking out the tongue, just letting it go, maybe fluttering the lips. When you're ready, bend the knees, look up and step up. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Let's take a moment here. Check back in with yourself. Maybe setting an intention or reminding yourself of an intention. And when you are ready, inhale, reach the arms up, maybe reaching back slightly for a slight back bend, opening up the heart. And then exhale, dive forward, swan dive all the way down, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine, halfway lift. Exhale, let it all go. Plant your hands down, step back to a plank, move through your vinyasa, and we'll meet in down dog. You can do what we did before. You can come into an up dog if that's in your practice. You can do cat-cows, whatever you'd like. You always have the option to skip the flows as well. This is your practice, so just listen to your body at all times. Just drawing your heart toward your thighs a little bit more. Mom, you might benefit from stepping your feet back away from your hands. Yeah. And then draw your heart. Yeah. Perfect. On your next inhale, raise your right leg back and up just for a moment, just feeling that nice stretch down the left leg, feeling the strength in your right leg. And then as you exhale, you can draw the knee in toward your chest using your cat spine, shifting the shoulders over wrists. Place the foot at the top of the mat. You can use your right hand to help it there. And then pivot your back foot to warrior one legs, and we'll rise up warrior one. So back toes are at a 45-degree angle, facing like kind of the front left corner of the mat. Your feet can be separated hips width or wider, if that's better. And you just want, if there were headlights on your hips, they would be going straight in front of you. Your arms can be reaching up, they can be at heart center, they can be on the hips, whatever feels best for you. And keep your tailbone tucking down so that you feel length in your lower back, and feel how that increases the stretch on your left hip flexor as well. Keeping that strength in both legs, but especially in your right leg. And you can feel the knee in line with your second toe. And maybe even lifting your toes for a moment just to make sure that the 4 corners of both your feet are on the floor. Your inner thighs magnetically drawing toward each other. Awesome. Another breath here. And then you can slowly reach into the ground with your front foot and straighten out that leg. Your hands can come to your hips or wherever they're comfortable. Inhale and lift your heart toward the ceiling just slightly. Exhale, hinge at your hips just like in a forward fold, and we'll come into our pyramid pose. So you can keep the hands here. You can bring them to blocks on either side of your front foot. You can bring them to the floor. But it's a similar sensation as in our half lift. So you really want your tailbone reaching back and the crown of the head reaching forward so that your spine is pretty straight. And it doesn't have to be parallel to the mat. You can be hinging at your hips so that it comes down even further if your body starts to open up. And just making sure to keep your neck long as well. So your gaze should be down at your foot. And keep feeling your right hip pulling back so that you feel the space between your right hip and your right heel. So this is like the more active pyramid pose when we're staying, keeping our body long and straight and staying with our breath. So as you inhale, you can feel the crown of your head reaching forward slightly as your tailbone reaches back. And then as you exhale, you can hinge just a little tiny bit, even if it's like a 1/2 centimeter. Now on your next exhale, just totally release this holding and let your spine curl. You can let your forehead reach toward your shin just to release for a moment. And then you can plant the hands down around your foot, moving those blocks if they were there, and step your feet back to a plank position. Move through a vinyasa of your choice, and we'll meet in down dog. Great. Once you arrive, just notice the difference of the legs for a moment. And then inhale, reach your left leg back and up. Feeling a nice stretch down the right leg. Feeling the strength in your left. And then as you exhale, draw your knee in toward the chest, cat spine, shoulders shifting over wrists, and maybe using your left hand to bring your foot to the front. You can pivot your back foot to warrior one legs, and we'll rise up warrior one on the other side. So same thing over here, just doing your best to do what you did on the other side. Checking in with your alignment, feeling that 45-degree angle in your back foot, your feet are hips width or wider. And that front knee is reaching toward the second toe, so it stays over the ankle. And you can try lifting all of your toes for a moment so that you even feel the outside edge of your back foot on the mat. And then using your toes intentionally as extra support. And feeling those headlights on the hips, reaching forward, tailbone tucking down to increase the stretch here on the right hip flexor. And your inner thighs magnetically drawing in toward each other. Your spine is super straight. Your arms can be wherever they want to be. Feeling the strength in your left glute, in your left thigh. Feeling your back leg be really straight and powerful also. Another breath like this. And then as you inhale, start to reach into the ground with your front foot. So you slowly straighten out that leg. With your hands at your hips, you can inhale, just lift your heart slightly toward the ceiling. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, keeping your side bodies long, the space between the bottom ribs and the hips as you come forward to this pyramid pose. And stretching this a little bit more vinyasa-y or actively at first. So keeping that spine just like in a half lift. So your tailbone's reaching back, crown of the head's reaching forward, feeling the torso getting as long as possible. And your left hip pulling back, feeling the space between the left hip and the left heel. Every time you inhale, let the crown of your head reach forward and the tailbone reach back. So feeling the spine get longer. And every exhale, let yourself just hinge a little bit deeper. Feeling this nice stretch down the left hamstring. Another breath, stretching actively. And then next exhale, you can allow yourself to release, allow your head to reach toward your shin, allow the spine to curl, maybe a slight bend in the knee, and let it go. When you're ready, you can bring your hands down to frame your front foot, step back to your plank, move through your vinyasa if you would like, and we'll meet in our down dog. Take 3 big breaths in your down dog. And then when you're ready, you can bend the knees, look up, and step up. Halfway lift as you inhale. And exhale to your forward fold. You can bend the knees now and bring the arms up to your chair pose. So your hips are sinking back as if you were really about to sit in a chair. And your knees are not passing your toes. You can see your toes. Your inner thighs are squeezing toward each other. Your tailbone is really reaching straight down so that you feel power and active in your pelvic floor and your lower belly. Awesome. Feeling that burn for 2 more breaths. And then you can come into your mountain pose. Just straighten out the legs. Let the arms release by your side. Let it go. Awesome. When you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up, maybe reaching back slightly for a back bend. And exhale to hinge at the hips, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, release. Plant the hands down, step back plank, move through your vinyasa, and we'll meet in our down dog. When you're ready, inhale, reach your right leg back and up. Exhale, point the toes, stack the hips, and bend the knee. Open up the hips to your right. Ooh, feel a big stretch down the inside of your left leg. Squaring your shoulders to the mat slightly. And then when you're ready, level out the hips, extend the leg, inhale. Exhale, knee comes into chest and bring it to the top of your mat. Maybe using your hand to help it there. Pivot your back foot to warrior 2 legs and we'll rise up warrior 2. So feeling, once again, your front knee is reaching toward the second toe. Your back foot can be parallel to the back edge of the mat or turned in slightly if that feels better on your feet or ankle. And with your front knee over that front ankle, your inner thighs are still kind of coming toward each other. And there's a tendency to be kind of like this so that your hip is coming out. You just want to push that back hip in so that your shoulders stay over the hips and your torso is straight. Your arms are even, looking good. You can, bring your palms to face away from you if that feels good to stretch the muscles around the heart. Maybe taking circles with the hands if that feels good for the wrist. Awesome. And then let's slowly straighten out the front leg. Maybe step the back foot in a touch and we'll come into our triangle pose. So you can start to reach forward with your right arm as much as you possibly can. And then when you can't anymore, you reach down with the right arm, reach up with the left, and keep that pelvic floor tight and active. So feel your pubic bone and both your hip points coming together so that your lower belly is very active. And the space between the hips and the bottom of the ribs is long on both sides. Your collarbones are broad. Awesome. And then you can put a slight bend in your front leg to come back up to center. Legs are straight again. And then just reach down your leg with your left hand and reach up with your right so that you feel that nice length from the right toes through the right fingers. And then you can bring the arms back to center. Turn your feet parallel to each other. And your hands can come to your hips as you inhale, lift your heart toward the ceiling. And exhale, hinge forward to your wide leg forward fold. You can release the arms however they're comfortable. It's doing your best to keep your hips over your air in line with the ankles. Sometimes the hips want to come behind or forward. And just keeping everything about our forward fold for the most part the same. So still reaching up through the space between the sit bones. The weight is still even on the insides and outsides of the feet, but slightly more toward the balls of the feet. Your lower belly is relaxed, but gently pulling in toward the spine so you get more space to hinge. Your face and shoulders are completely soft and heavy. Awesome. 2 more breaths like this. And then you can slowly start to walk your hands over to your right foot and turn your right foot out so that you can frame it with your hands and step back to your plank. You can move through a vinyasa of your choice and we'll meet in our down dog. Awesome. When you are ready, you can inhale the left leg back and up and exhale to point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee. Open up your hips to the left. Letting it go. Feeling the stretch down the inside of the right leg. And then you can inhale, level out the hips and reach the leg long. Exhale, bend the knee into the chest and step it to the top of your mats. Your back foot comes down and rise up to your warrior 2 on the other side. So same thing on this side. You can check in with what alignment works best for you with the back foot. That front knee is reaching toward the second toe. This left hip is being opened. And your right hip is kind of pushing in slightly so that it stays, both shoulders stay over the hips. And your tailbone reaching straight down, crown of the head straight up. You can do that stuff with the wrists again if you want. So you can bring the palms to face away. You can take circles. Always option to lift the toes for a moment just to ensure that the feet are active and not just hanging out. Another 2 breaths. And slowly straighten out your front leg. Maybe step the back foot in a touch. And we'll come into our triangle pose on this side. You can start to reach forward with the left hand and come into triangle with the left arm reaching down, right arm reaching up. Keeping that pelvic floor and lower belly super active. Letting that be your support. Let's do 3 more breaths here. Great. And then with a slight bend in your front leg, you can bring the arms back up to center, re-straightening that leg when you get there. And then the right arm reaches down your back leg and the left arm reaches up. Nice length in the left side of the body. Noticing where you feel this stretch the most. Might be somewhere unexpected. Great, and then you can bring your arms back to center, turn your feet parallel to each other. And if you want a shoulder stretch here, you can interlace the hands behind the back and pull the fists toward the ground. And then hinge at your hips and let your fists drag forward. Stretching out the shoulders. And you can leave the arms like this for as long as it feels good. You can release whenever you want to. And keeping all the components of the legs the same as we just had it. Always option to bend the knees, either generously or slightly. Always option to find movement if that feels best for you. Always option to find stillness if that feels best for you. Let's take 3 more big breaths. When you're ready, you can start to walk your hands over toward your left foot as you turn that foot to face out. You can step back to your plank position. Move through a vinyasa of your choice, and let's meet in our downward facing dog. Now from here, just go ahead and step your right foot outside of the right hand. And so you're in this wide lunge, setting up for lizard. And you can keep this active if you want, keeping that back leg lifted, or you can allow your back knee to drop down, untucking the toes, and just coming into your lizard pose. So you can let yourself unfold however your body unfolds. You can come onto the forearms at some point, maybe on your blocks or bolster or on the floor. Just breathing into this right hip, breathing into your left hip flexor. And sometimes it's helpful for however your body is made, for your right toes to face slightly out. That's helpful for me. So let your breaths be extra loud and intentional here. Option to add a little twist if you want. You can bring your left forearm parallel to the front of the mat, and then your right hand inside of the right thigh, maybe looking over the right shoulder, lifting your heart away from the thigh. Just an option. Awesome. You can unwind, come back to center, come back onto your hands, and slowly start to lift your seat back and up to straighten out your right leg. And then let's heel toe that all the way over to the left side so that we can come into our pigeon pose. The right knee coming behind the right wrist, the hips coming to the floor, your left leg staying in line with the left hip. And whenever you're ready, coming to your sleeping pigeon, the arms coming to the floor or to your bolster or blocks. Breathing into any uncomfortable sensations. Letting your stomach be soft, letting your jaw relax. Energetically, our jaw and our hips are very connected. So once we're focusing on the hips and stretching that out, it's common for our jaw to want to stay tight. If we loosen out the jaw, it'll allow our hips to be looser as well. Maybe letting out a big sigh to really communicate to the rest of our body that we are relaxing. Let's do 3 more breaths. When you're ready, you can begin to come on to the forearms, onto the hands. Plant the hands down and you start to tuck your back toes and scooch that knee in, and then unwind your right leg and shake it out for a moment. And then when you're ready, we'll do that on the other side. So you can do this right from your table if you want, or come back into your down dog like we did on the other side. But we'll meet in lizard pose on the left side. So the left foot comes outside the left hand. And if you came into this from your table, you can tuck your back toes and lift your back knee for a moment just to get that right distance, and then let your knee come down. And then untuck the toes, yeah. So you can unfold into this just like you did on the other side, and your left toes can be facing slightly out if that feels better on your hips for any reason. You can come onto the forearms whenever. It's doing your best to surrender fully in the hips and let them be heavy, reaching forward and down. So you feel this nice big stretch in the right hip flexor and the inside of the left hip. Let your face relax, let your shoulders relax, let your stomach relax. If you did that twist on the other side, you can do that here. So the right forearm comes parallel to the front edge. And then your left hand comes to the inside of the left thigh. And you look over the left shoulder as you lift your heart away from the thigh. So you're kind of pushing your thigh away from the heart. Great. And then you can start to unwind. Come back to center, come back onto the hands, and then very slowly straighten out your front leg by lifting the sit bones back, and then bring that on over to the right. And we'll come into our pigeon pose, other side. So that back foot stays in line with the hip. And when you do fold forward, keeping that length in the spine. Noticing how this side feels compared to the other. Letting yourself surrender in the pose. Letting all the muscles just accept this position that our body's in. Noticing any areas that are having trouble accepting the position. And without judgment, just looking at these areas and giving them our awareness, giving them our attention. You can focus on sending your breath there. Your inhales energizing these areas of resistance, and your exhales allowing them to soften and accept. We'll take about 3 more breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can start to walk your hands up to the floor. You can tuck your back toes under and start to scooch your knee in so that you can come back into a 3-legged table just to shake out that leg. And then we'll do a fun thing to come to our seat. So from your tabletop, just cross your ankles over each other and sit your hips back. It's so fun. And from here, let's just come into a butterfly position so the soles of your feet can come together. They can be close to you or far away from you. And just let yourself fold. This can really just be whatever your body's asking for right now. Your elbows can be resting on the insides of your calves. Maybe your feet open like a book. Maybe they're closed. Just let your head be heavy. Let your stomach be soft. Let your face muscles be totally relaxed. Your shoulders are relaxed. And 2 more breaths. And then slowly, gently, you can begin to come back up to your seat when you're ready. And bring your knees in together. Maybe give yourself a hug. And then when you're ready, making your way down to lay on your back. When you arrive, you can either let your feet come as wide as your mat and do some windshield wipers. You can hug the knees into the chest and rock back and forth. You can do both of those things. Just getting your body used to being on your back. Feeling your back body surrender toward the mat. Doing whatever feels right for you. The next few breaths. And then when you're ready, you can come into some torso twists. So you can let both of your knees come over to the right side of you as you look off to the left, extending that left arm. Any version of a twist that feels best. Your knees can be stacked, they can be crossed over each other. Your bottom leg can be extended, whatever feels best. Let's do 3 more breaths here. And then gently bring your head to center, guide your knees to center, and just take that to the other side when you're ready. Knees falling off to your left, looking over the right. Stomach is soft the whole time. Feeling this wringing out of the spine, this gentle massage of the organs. And 3 more breaths over here. And then gently, you can guide your head to center, the knees to center. Maybe give yourself another hug here. Whenever you're ready, you can reach your feet up to the ceiling, your arms up to the ceiling, shaking them out and then letting them rest in their sockets. If there's anything else you want to do before you do this, you can feel free to do that first. But just coming to this place where the 4 corners of your torso are firm against the mat, everything in your body surrendering to the back body. So all your organs settle into place. The entire length and width of your back is flat against the mat. The blood is rushing from the hands and the feet into the torso. Feeling a sense of stillness for a few more moments here. Whenever you're ready, you can come into a happy baby, reaching for the toes, the feet, the thighs, whatever is available. Just opening up the hips to the ceiling. Maybe taking turns straightening each leg, maybe straightening them both. Maybe stillness or movement is calling. And then when you're ready, you can allow the soles of your feet to find each other as you slowly walk the hands to the thighs and lower them to the mat. Into your reclined butterfly pose. With permission to stay here as long as you want, even for the whole Shavasana, if that's best, or you can straighten out your legs at any moment and come into your final Shavasana. Getting nice and comfy. And just allowing every ounce of your energy to surrender into the floor. And calling back any energy that's going outward to external demands and redirecting that energy inward. Trusting that there's nothing else you should be doing in this moment, but allowing yourself to rest. Feeling your face soften completely. Feeling the corners of the eyes and the corners of the mouth getting wider. Feeling the ears falling toward the mat. The shoulders rooted into the mat as the collarbones broaden. The heart center beating its own beat and tuning into that unique rhythm. Feeling the softness expand across the heart, down the arms, into the hands. As all these muscles release. The softness spreading from the heart, down past the lungs and the ribs, down the stomach, into the lower belly and the glutes, feeling all of these muscles soften and release. Letting the pelvic floor completely relax. Letting the softness spread down the legs, the thighs, the knees, the calves, the shins, the feet, the toes. Feeling the shape that your body's in, this five-pointed shape. Feeling all your corners and edges, the toes, the fingers, the tip of your head. Feeling just how much space you're taking up as you allow the energy to flow freely through the entire body. Allowing the healing benefits of this practice to soak into your cells for about another minute as you rest in silence. If you would like to lay for longer, please feel free to do so. If you're starting to feel ready, you can gently begin to bring awareness back to the breath. And deepen the breath, calling air back into the body, feeling it fill up every corner and edge of you. Wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe rocking the head side to side, massaging the back of the skull. Maybe reaching to a big morning stretch, maybe letting out a yawn. Eventually, in your own time, in your own way, coming into a fetal position on one side. Pausing for a moment here. And when you're ready, gently making your way up to your seat. Meeting with our hands at heart center when you arrive. Thanking yourself for showing up for yourself for this healing practice. It may continue to heal you through the rest of your day and your weekend. And may you bring some of this to everything that you do and to everyone that you see. Namaste.